Hey everybody, I'm Tim, and today we're going to broaden our horizons. You're watching Cigars Daily. I want to invite you to get more out of this and all our videos now when you watch them on CigarsDailyPlus.com. We're always working to make it better on Cigars Daily Plus. I know some people are resistant to change. It's not comfortable when things aren't the way you got used to them, right? But certainly it's something that's part of all of our lives. As we get older, we all learn to love new things, like the day that you realize that you like money more than you like having Transformer toys, which some of us realized later than others. Or the changes that come with our preferences, like the way you take your coffee, how you want your steak done, how late in the day you can drink coffee, and how much steak the doctor will let you eat. All these things change as we get older, and certainly within the world of cigars, it's no exception, because when you first start smoking, you typically like one type of cigar, but 10 years later, it probably isn't the same one. Most people's palates change as they get older or as they smoke more. And one of the big things that happens when you first get into cigars is people come up with this sort of intuition or feeling like they want to expand their palate and try new things. So today, I want to take you through some good palate expanding ideas and a few cigars that would be really good to try as you try to grow your taste buds and get them meaner and stronger and ready for flavor battles. So with no further ado, let's jump into the best ways to grow your palate. Before I recommend any specific cigars that will broaden your horizons, I want to take you through some of the goals of an exercise like this. I do hear a lot of people saying this is something they want to do, but when I ask them, like, what are you looking to get out of it? People don't always know. So as you look to expand your horizons, there's some things you can be sure you're going to get. And the first one, and a really big one, is finding and falling in love with a brand new blend, maybe even one that you didn't know you'd like. That is something that has amazed me as I've worked my way through the cigar world. I sort of know what I like. Typically, it's mild, creamy Connecticut shade cigars, and many of my favorite cigars are like that. But I've always been surprised as I've come over to the very dark, bold world of Connecticut Broadleaf and found blends that blow my mind as much. There's some really amazing flavor profiles out there, but certainly as you smoke around, there's always another blend around the corner that's just waiting to impress you and knock your socks off. The second thing that expanding your palate will give you is just the capacity to appreciate a wider range of strength in cigars. You see, the different types of leaves out there come from very, very mild in strength, very calm, very smooth, very creamy, all the way to really bold, dark, rich, full-bodied, very rugged flavors. And those strengths can really ratchet up there too. High-end strengths, I don't even know if I can handle them. Some of the strongest cigars I've had, I have not been able to enjoy much or even finish because I just don't get into a ton of that kind of strength. But certainly in my years of smoking, one thing I've really enjoyed is the fact that I can work outside of the world of Connecticut shade now and enjoy what each different kind of wrapper really has to add to a blend. These days, I get really excited about a bunch of different wrappers, more than when I was like just smoking Connecticut shade and was kind of a one pony show. One pony show? Is that a saying? And assuming you got into cigars similarly to how I did with really mild stuff, then there's another thing you can look forward to, is getting a hold of some darker, richer flavor notes. You see, I talk about this in my reviews a lot. There are certain sets of flavor notes that I associate a lot with milder cigars. Stuff like creamy cedar, a lot of times earthiness, grass and hay, vanilla. Those are typically flavor notes I find in Connecticut shade or other like mild to medium cigars. And then there's a whole other set of flavor notes that I typically get out of darker, bolder, rich cigars. The stronger stuff can come with stuff like oak and leather, dark chocolate, really amazing graham cracker notes come through on some of those darker, stronger blends. And if I had never gotten into those, I would have never gotten a hold of that graham cracker note, which is one of my all-time favorite flavor notes to find in a cigar. So as you work your way through the different types of cigar wrappers and strengths that exist, you're going to find yourself some flavors that you never knew you always wanted. And the last thing you'll take away from stretching your palate and giving it new stuff to chew on is the ability to taste and appreciate some stronger flavor characteristics, which is a little bit different than actual flavor notes. There's character to flavors like a creamy consistency. Sometimes spice and pepper to me are much more characteristic than they are just regular flavor notes. And so flavor characters like that, you want to expose yourself to as many as you can. You're not going to love them all. I certainly don't love spice on a cigar flavor as much as I really love something creamy and smooth, but at the same time, I respect it when it's done well. And I'm glad that expanding my horizons or broadening my palate has given me the ability to know what I love and don't love, and that's what I'm hoping that you'll take away from this today. And so I want to take you now through 5 different cigars that are going to give you a look into like different avenues of the cigar world and what kind of flavor you can get from stuff. But I'll tell you up front, this is not an exhaustive list. So if you've got a great cigar that you could recommend to broaden your horizons, then please put it in the comments down below and let everybody know, because we'll all learn better when we learn together. And I'm going to take you through 5 very specific cigars, but for each one of these, I'm going to point to the wrapper leaf, because there are so many different types of cigars with a particular wrapper that can also fit into this category. And so let's take you through 5 cigars that'll broaden your palate. The first cigar on our list today is one that I typically recommend for people who come into the HQ here and say, Tim, I've really only smoked Connecticut shade stuff and I want to try something else and see what I'm missing out on. I'll always bring people over and offer them a really nice Sumotra cigar. The Sumotra wrapper is great. They come from Indonesia when it's a true Sumotra, but it's also an incredibly earthy, very smooth, and still pretty mild wrapper leaf that can go over a variety of different blends. You can have very bold, dark Sumatras, but for the most part, a typical Sumatra is going to be pretty mild to medium. This one right here is the Leaf by Oscar Sumatra, which comes out of Honduras, and in my mind is one of the best representations of what a good Sumatra should taste like. This thing's got earthy sweetness to it and so much good in terms of woods and almond in the flavor. If you've been camping on Connecticut shades, this is going to take the strength up 1 or 2 notches and give you a whole new world of flavor. And like the Sumatra, the next cigar on our list also does not come from Latin America. This one is the Cameroon wrapper. And the cigar I actually have right here is AJ Fernandez New World Cameroon. I love this cigar and the wrapper leaf on it because, first of all, a true Cameroon actually comes from Africa. Today, some cigar makers use those Cameroon seeds and grow them in Latin America. Probably save some money. How could it not? But at the same time, if you get real, genuine African Cameroon, there are some amazing features to it. Just like with the AJ Fernandez New World, this thing is a really amazingly earthy cigar with some inherent sweetness. The thing I love about this type of leaf is that it can offer a lot of flavor and really intricate profile without kicking the strength up a ton, so you still get a mild to medium strength and you get more flavor notes like cinnamon, earth, even that graham cracker note can come through at times on a Cameroon wrapper. It's a very diverse leaf. Again, you can find more full-bodied ones, but for the most part, a Cameroon's going to be mild to medium, treat you good, give you that nice earthy sweetness, and plenty to chew on while you're smoking it. And cruising into the number 3 spot on this palate-pleasing list is the ever-versatile Habano cigar. This one right here is the Dama Velada from American Viking Cigars, and the thing that I love about Habano leaf so much is it's so versatile. You can use it to blend anything you want out there, and people do. There are so many cigars that use this type of wrapper leaf on it out there that I would actually warn you against going into a cigar shop and looking at the clerk and saying, I want to try a good Habano. That will be a huge part of their humidor, and it will be hard to pick one out. That's like going into a humidor almost and saying, I want a cigar that is round, because there's just so many of those, right? But when it comes to Habano, there's a few things you can count on with the straightforward Habano leaf. This is very smooth and can oftentimes be creamy, but you get such diversity because you can get Habanos from just about anywhere. There are Honduran Habanos and Nicaraguan and Dominican ones. There's Ecuador Habanos and even more out there. And even from there, the whole range of strength changes. So as you shop for a good Habano cigar, I recommend trying them all. I really do, but find something that's a straightforward just Habano, or like a Habano Rosado. If you get into darker Habano cigars, those might be a little bit too quick, or maybe they'll be the perfect thing for you. That's really up to you to decide. But one thing's for sure, if you're looking to try a Habano, you won't have a hard time finding one. And then there's a type of stick that's been growing in popularity recently, and that is the Corojo cigar. This one is the Corojo number 5 from Gran Habano. And just like any good Corojo leaf, this thing features a really nice pepper on the retrohale and even a little spiciness in the back of the throat. And that is what Corojo is known for, is that little bit of kick characteristic that it typically has. Now, the leaf was originally created in Cuba and then brought over and grown in other parts of Latin America, so there is some diversity with this leaf today, but the central characteristic of it is that punchy flavor. So if you want to see if that type of thing is your thing, I recommend finding a good Corojo and trying it out. And last but most certainly not least on this list, and the one that I sort of hesitate to put on here more than anything, is Connecticut Broadleaf. Believe it or not, this one right here is the Jaime Garcia, and this one is actually more about the Jaime Garcia than it is about the Broadleaf, because unlike some of these other leaves that are pretty diverse, you can get very mild to very bold and everywhere in between, broadleafs range really from medium to full in strength. There's not a ton of very mild broadleafs out there, but the reason I put this one is because the actual Jaime Garcia is really smooth, very earthy, very nice, rich, creamy, sweet characteristic to the flavor with a really nice forward chocolate note. I just reviewed this one this week and was really blown away by how good it was, especially for a cigar that's in like the $7 or $8 range depending on the size. The Connecticut Broadleaf is one I've been looking into for a while, and this wrapper leaf typically does give you sweetness, and it typically does give you those darker, richer flavor notes, stuff like coffee and leather and dark chocolate. It's the kind of thing I've always associated with darker cigars like this one, but from time to time you find one that breaks away from the pack like the Jaime Garcia and gives the palate expanding cigar lover something to really sink their teeth into. And so there you go, 5 different kinds of cigars that will help you expand your palate, especially if you're just getting into cigars, you've seen a little bit, and now you want a cigar rumspringa and go expose yourself to what else there is to taste, because there's so much, guys. There has never been a more exciting time to be a cigar smoker. The variety of flavors has never been better than it is today. So I encourage you, check the comments down below for other people's recommendations on good cigars to try out some new flavors. And while you're at it, check this video out on cigarsdailyplus.com, because we're always working to make it better on Cigars Daily Plus. Thank you all so much for watching. This is Tim signing off for Cigars Daily, and I will see you in the comments.